Hey everyone, welcome to Group Text. Okay. My friend, comedian, actress, and producer, and clearly not of sound mind, because she's back on my show, is Wendi McLendon-Covey. And I couldn't be more thrilled to have you back. Wendi has appeared in over 40 movies, countless animated series and films, and I don't have enough time to list your TV credits without having to take a water break. Currently, she is starring on the NBC hit comedy St. Denis Medical, Thursday nights on NBC, and streaming on Peacock. Wendi plays hospital administrator Joyce Henderson. I got to tell you, I watched the show and it's absolutely hilarious. Oh, Wendi, you brave little minx. Welcome back to Group Text.
Brave little minx. You know what? That ought to be the name of my production company.
Yes, or an autobiography.
Oh, that's good, Melissa. You have blessed me today.
Yeah, brave little minx.
Brave little minx.
Last time we spoke on the podcast 2.5 years ago, you were in the process of moving. I think you were sitting in your closet.
Yes.
Have you actually, in the last 2.5 years, finished unpacking, or are there still boxes in the garage?
We have finished unpacking. I am in the house that we were moving to at the time, and we're very, very happy here. And everything's unpacked and thrown out or donated. You know how you move things from house to house and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why did I keep all those notes from when I was in high school?
Yeah.
Why did I think I wanted to read those one day?
I was going to keep that art history textbook.
Yeah, exactly. Or all my notes that I wrote out on paper. Who cares?
Anyway. Do you still write on paper? I still have to write notes on paper.
I need to. Do you keep up your cursive handwriting? That's a big thing now.
I never had good cursive, so I still print, and it's sort of a half print, half cursive, very similar to what I think a serial killer would write.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Melissarivers, person of interest. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think yeah, if they ever did an analysis and half the time I can't read it.
Really?
Yeah.
You hear they're hiring people that can read cursive to for like a history thing. They're wanting to read old war letters or like transcribe them and digitize them in some way. And so many people can't read cursive now that it's like a special skill that I took that for granted, but now it's like.
Apparently all that time spent in second grade with the, remember the wide lines,
God,
and then
yes.
it had the dotted line in the middle. So you could, that was a big fucking waste of time, apparently.
Yes. So.
Okay. Let's just talk about St. Denis.
All right.
I love it.
Thank you.
What was it about the show that made you say, besides the check, okay, yes, this is worth coming back to TV for?
Well, I got the script for that the day the Goldbergs got canceled.
Really?
Yeah. It was like 4 or 5 hours later. So I was having a mopey day, and I was sent the script by my agents. They said, you probably don't want to do anything for a while. You probably just want to relax and get your bearings. And I was like, no, I want to work. I need to work for my mental health. I didn't know if this would be the thing, but I read it and I was like, oh my God, it's funny. I think I can do this. It was opposite of anything that I had done for 10 years on the Goldbergs. I didn't want to play another mom. I had done that. As to the best of my ability. I didn't think I could do it anymore. I wanted to do the complete opposite. And that's what this was. And I was like, well, it's just a pilot. So let's do it. I'll say yes to this and let's see if it even gets picked up. And my agents were saying, are you sure you don't want to take time off?
Well, because usually after you've come off a 10-year run.
Yeah.
You want to say, I'm going to take 6 months or whatever. But I get it because I live in constant fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's the next job? I mean, it's that constant anxiety and fear of what am I doing
that's
tomorrow?
the life of a freelancer. And that's what we are in this business. And also, this business gives you plenty of opportunities for time off when you don't want it. And that's what happened anyway. You know, we did the pilot and then there were the actor strikes and we got picked up, which was great, but we couldn't go back to work for a year. So I basically had a year off anyway. I'm glad I said yes to it because they only made like 4 pilots across all networks in 2023. So I was happy that I said yes to it. And it turns out like it's the best thing for me. It's a funny show. I love everybody we work with. Our showrunners are fantastic. And usually we get to leave by 6 o'clock at night. Like we've never had a full 12-hour day.
That's insane. And for people who don't know the TV business, like very often, especially on tape days, you go in and it's daylight and you come out and it's daylight. Yeah. Or you show up at work at 6 a.m. when it's dark and you leave after dark. Yeah. 14 hours is about, because we're not in front of an audience. We are a single cam. So they shoot like movies for those who don't know. They shoot like movies. And it takes a long time. It takes a week per episode, and they're always long days. Well, these showrunners of ours, Eric Legend and Justin Spitzer, they want to see their families. So we get to see our families. And it's not always like that. If your showrunner doesn't want to go home, nobody really gets to go home. It's very civilized. Yeah. Pray for showrunners that like their families. Oh, yes. That's everything. Yeah. It's everything. Okay. We got to talk about Joyce. Okay. Yes. How do I say that? She's fucking crazy. Yeah. And yet she is in charge. She is the hospital administrator and has a lot of odd habits. Yes. But she's always trying to move the hospital forward, but pretty much fails miserably. Yes. Continuously. One of my favorite episode is that Joyce decides it's going to become the #1 breast screening hospital in the country and orders the most high-tech mammography machine and seems to forget that it needs power. Yes. Oops. Yeah, he's not a techie. No. And she thinks, you know what? Let's set it up in the room where we store the Christmas decorations. Yes. That'll be a great place for it. Joyce, I love Joyce. And I've worked with a lot of women. Before I got into this business, I had some bosses who were very Joyce adjacent. Okay. So Joyce is a former oncologist, so she's educated. She was a doctor. And in my mind, she thought, you know what? Screw it. These insurance companies are making it impossible to practice medicine. I'm going to become an administrator and I'm going to fix it from the inside. Well, guess what? That's not how anything happens, unfortunately. No. And once you've made that leap, it's not like you can just pivot back and say, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't like that anymore. I'm going to go back to oncology. That's not how life works. That's definitely not how the medical profession works. No. So she's in her mid-50s and she's like, I hate this, but I can't leave. I got to make this work. I answer to people. So she's always pushing this hospital uphill in front of her because it's a safety hospital. You can't turn anybody away, right? But they can't always pay. So you need to be constantly chasing money. And I don't know what the percentages are, but for fundraising, but it's like for every mailer you send out, if you get a 1% response, that's amazing. Well, those aren't really good odds, are they? No. So that means you got to keep going. So she's trying to keep a staff motivated, and it makes her look insane. Yes. You know, her trying to keep morale up is so grating. But also because her version, she has to do it. Her ideas on how to do it are just slightly off kilter. But I go back to that one thing, and with the installer going, well, where do we plug it in?
Yeah.
You want to say,
Yeah.
I'm thinking the power strip isn't going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Like the power strip that holds the printer.
Yeah.
And the Keurig machine.
Yeah. But that made me giggle. And it's shot in that mockumentary style.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And first of all, the cast is phenomenal. And so much of it is so subtle.
Right.
Which I love. I mean, David-Alangrier is a joy to watch, even in the background, just his reactions.
Yes.
So it's a mockumentary style. So I assume, and again, I could be wrong, you guys do what's on the page. Then do they allow you to improvise more? Because it feels like that. It feels very fresh.
Yes. They definitely allow us to improvise. And in a workplace show, I think that's so important because you have to use your environment. And you never know what part of the set you're filming on until the day. So you never know what dumb little thing you're going to pick up on just in that emergency room.
Right.
You don't know what's sitting on the counter. You have to use it. If there's something hilarious happening or an extra might do something funny, people's reactions are always hilarious, that dead-eyed stare. And I think the mockumentary format works really well for workplace comedies because, how many docuseries are there out there about workplaces? So many.
Right.
That are reality based. So we're so used to seeing that. I think it works really well in a scripted show too, because there's jokes between the words.
But you were sort of a pioneer in this style if we go back to Reno 911. So clearly this is your niche, but do you, and the Goldbergs was obviously different. When you get a script like St. Denis, are you like, oh, fuck, I'm the mockumentary girl. You know what I mean? Oh man, we have a mockumentary. Let's get Wendy.
I have done a lot of mockumentaries, but I guess I don't mind it as long as it's funny.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it that way. But yeah, I'm really proud of what we're doing on this show. I think it's funny and the response is good. And, hey, but if I'm the mockumentary girl, great. I've been called worse. So call me that and let's stick with it.
Well, then it's a good day. You've been called a minx and a mockumentary girl. The go-to.
Melissa, why aren't we best friends?
I have no idea. This is clearly something happening. And I want to go back to the show and Joyce, because she is so fully fleshed out. Mm-hmm. And first of all, the staff can't stand her. The staff thinks she's an idiot.
Right.
But yet Joyce is like 100% in, and she has these crazy hobbies, the knots.
Yes.
What was when her marimba teacher dies?
Yes. Oh God. Joyce has a robust personal life.
Yes. How much of that was on the page? How much did you bring to her and say, what crazy thing would make sense for Joyce, like the knots, which is never really addressed. It's never really addressed. Joyce just can tie sailing knots.
Yeah. Does she sail? No. But she's got to do something with her hands after work, I guess. That was all on the page. They gave me all these weird things to do. And we've got an incredible writer's room. I just have to say that. Like we have got some insanely good writers, and I hope they are recognized with some awards. But my only thought about Joyce was, well, she's not a cuddly person.
No.
She's not married. She doesn't have any kids. She doesn't want you touching her because you have germs. So don't hug her. Please, God, don't hug her. You probably haven't noticed this, but around her desk, she's got like little possums and things like that.
No, I haven't.
Those are the only pets she can have because she can't keep a plant alive.
Which is great for a doctor.
Great for a doctor. That's certainly something you want to tell people. But so I thought, yeah, everything she has is fake because she can't take care of it.
Right.
She's too efficient to care for an animal or another living thing. So that was really all I thought about. And they kind of layered in everything else. And I thought, well, that's so bananas. I can't object. Mm-hmm. Who plays the marimba? Nobody.
Right. Nobody.
You know.
I also like she's always wearing a pin. She's got that administrator, quote unquote, professional woman, the pantsuit, the shirt, and always a pin.
Always a brooch, just to kick it up a notch,
because it's fun.
It's fun. You know, put a hummingbird on your lapel, and that's a gift for everybody. You know?
It's so, you know, most medical shows are not comedies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course you had Scrubs and all that. And I had Noah Wiley on the podcast a while back, and he said by the end of ER, he could literally rattle off medical jargon.
Yeah.
Like that people think he had gone to med school. Not so much your character, but how much have the cast had to learn? And do you have a supervisor to make sure that you're not saying anything completely incorrectly?
Yes, we have a couple of consultants on the staff at all times. And sometimes they actually play extras in the scenes, but they make sure that you look convincing, you know, putting an IV in someone or drawing blood or saying your terms correctly. Now, as an administrator, I don't need to worry about that, which is great. I am a fainter, Melissa. Don't show me needles. Don't show them to me. It's, dear God, don't suggest that I need to have blood drawn. It will be a bad day for everyone. But yeah, they do have staff there making sure everybody sounds like they know what they're talking about and using the equipment correctly.
Right, which is wonderful because it flows so naturally that it allows these insane characters to still be the characters. Like I find it rolls very easily and it just becomes kind of a white noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
How fast did everybody click? I mean, everyone says, oh, at the table read, we all knew immediately. But in a situation like this where it's so fast and there is a lot of improvisation and characters are very heightened in a good way. They're not caricatures, but they're clearly in a lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
How fast did you guys all find your rhythm?
Because it's not easy. We had to find it fast.
Well, you have to, right.
Yeah, because, they used to do chemistry reads and things like that. We sure didn't have time for that on this show. So luckily, we were all there to play ball and we were all there to make it work regardless of whether or not we had chemistry.
Right.
We all wanted these jobs. So as it turns out, though, we do have chemistry and everybody is there to win the prize. But when it comes down to in our pilot episode, there's like a big medical emergency that everybody has to take part in. And that took a lot of rehearsal, quite honestly, because you've never done these things before. And also it makes you feel like, oh my God, what if this was happening to me? What if I were on that table? Dear God, it makes you think about things you don't want to think about, but you need to.
Because it's also finding the comedic timing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't come easily. That takes time.
Right. And you can't, with something like this, you have to find the comedic timing in your interactions, not with the work you're doing. No one wants to watch a show about people that are totally inept running a hospital. That there might have been an audience for that a while ago, but not anymore.
Right.
Please, at the very least, be good at your jobs. You can fight with each other. Whatever happens in the break room, hilarious.
Yeah.
But please, for the love of God, be good at what you're doing. No one wants to see that.
Yeah.
I
love the click because that's so real. That I don't want to give it away for people, but that every workplace has a click. And someone tries to go in and separate them, and it never ends well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing about hospitals just like cops, there will be an endless supply of material because people will always get sick and need to go to the hospital.
Right.
And the people that work in hospitals, like you're there on your worst day. This is there every day. So you might be coding and they're thinking, damn it, I just wanted to have some lunch.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry.
Or
is my car going to be out of the shop?
Right. Or I hate working with this person.
Exactly.
That's what the whole episode about the clicks is.
Yes.
Fantastic. So you've got such an extensive resume. And I know I can't watch myself. Mm-hmm. I just came out of an edit for a special where I had to watch myself. And I hated the cut they did, and I redid the cut and actually took 10 seconds out of it. And I think I made it better. Can you watch yourself?
Oh, I don't always. I can, but sometimes I choose not to. Like if I didn't like the project, I don't need to see it.
Right.
I don't need to attend that premiere.
But
so yeah, there's some movies I've been in that I just didn't need to watch.
Do you ever go back though and watch the Reno 911 and specific episodes of the Goldbergs where you say, God, I could have made a better decision, or wow, that scene was magic?
Yeah, I do. I do feel that way when I watch the Goldbergs. Mm-hmm. In Reno, it's like, we shot that in such a guerrilla style. I can't really pick on it because but it was never meant to look good.
No, but it launched a genre.
Yeah, and it's never been off the air.
Which is insane.
It came out in 2004. It's never been off the air. So yeah, that was a lucky break. But yeah, certain things I think, well, I know I said something funnier. I don't know why they didn't use it, but whatever. It's not my choice. I'm not the editor.
Although you would be brilliant.
But it's like when your mom says, if you wanted it better, well, you just go and get your own TV show and edit it yourself. Tough
Thanks.
break. Just
helpful.
Yeah.
Helpful. What else? I mean, your life is so full. I'm so happy you actually got all your boxes unpacked, because I know as many times as I've moved, there's always 1 or 2 boxes.
Yeah.
For 6 or 7 years that you're like,
Sure.
you don't need it yet.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Although you bring up a good point. In my garage attic, I wonder if there's stuff up there that I really ought to have looked through, but whatever. If I'm not missing it, it can stay.
Yeah.
It can stay.
Do you keep memorabilia from some of your shows? What did you take from the Goldbergs?
I took the wig because, please, that was part of my body.
Yeah.
And I took one of my favorite sweaters, which it had a duck on it and it said, "I'm so flappy." And I did, you know what? When we were shutting the whole thing down, people were going in like vultures and just grabbing things. And I didn't do that. I wish I would have.
Hindsight.
But I was too upset. And I was like, no, I got to just go. I have to leave or I'll never leave. So I don't grab things from every set I work on. But with that, I should have at least pulled in some of the artwork.
Right.
from the walls, you know, and more of George Siegel's stuff. I should, you know what? That's another thing. Our costume designer gave me one of George's velour track jackets. So that means a lot to me.
Right. That's stuff you can't get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Dare, I hate asking this question because you are always working. Like you said, most people do not have the luck to roll from one right to the other. Even though we had strikes and stuff like that, you knew you had a job.
Mm-hmm.
How much anxiety do you have when you don't know what your next job is?
It's a lot, you know, that free fall feeling, again, that every freelancer feels at one point. You feel like, okay, I start seeing help wanted signs. Like I could deliver pizzas. I could totally do that. I could drive for Uber. Like I do start panicking, but no, that free fall is just part of the way it is. Mm-hmm. And I've always been lucky. Like I will always work. I will always make a living. I just have to remember that.
What do you do with your free time?
Right now, I'm resuming my sewing.
What do you sew? Look, little known. This is, by the way, breaking news.
Oh, yeah. I love sewing. It's very meditative. I have been making vintage dresses, you know, vintage patterns. But here's the thing. I don't know how to translate them into my size. So I just make the garment that will not fit me. And I just give it away.
What period is your favorite period?
I love 50s and 60s.
Where it had the paper, like, and you could cut it out.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. And a lot of those older patterns are being digitized now. But I need to learn how to grade patterns, meaning make them bigger for my proportions, you know.
How did you start that? That's such a, you know, you hear about people taking up knitting on set or, you know, whatever, something that can move with them. This does not seem like something you can take to set. Do you bring your sewing machine or do you do it by hand?
Absolutely can't. You absolutely can't take it anywhere. But I do love watching TikToks about people that sew or people that can upcycle clothes. Like, oh, I went to the thrift store and bought this trench coat and I turned it into a bathing suit. You know, I mean, nothing that extreme, but that's a big thing that people are doing now. And it's like, God, that's a powerful thing. I wish, well, I'm getting there, but I want to get to the point where I can tailor my own clothes.
Really?
That's a big deal. Yeah.
But, you know, all of us for everything have to have everything pinned and wardrobe and all that.
Yeah.
How are you going to pin yourself?
Well, I have a form, but you know, it's impossible to make it fit your exact proportions. So what I think I'm going to do is have my husband wrap me in duct tape.
I just did this. I just had a form made and they wrap you, like instead of having one of the big fancy ones. So my alterations lady wrapped me in duct tape.
Yeah.
And then they cut it off and put it back and then they stuff it.
Okay, I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the most bizarre thing. And she's like, it's going to feel a little tight. And I'm standing in my bathroom, wrapped in duct tape from basically my collarbones to mid-thigh.
Ooh. Well, now your clothes are going to fit perfectly.
Right. And then she takes them and she stuffs them.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm doing that today.
It is but you have to have someone who knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Do it for you. I don't know. Well, at least make sure your husband's not aggravated at you because he could just leave you like that.
Yeah, because it can't be too tight. It has to be honest. Like you're not trying to take in inches. No. It's got to be like wrapped perfectly so it's what you really look like.
But it can't be loose.
Yes.
I can't.
Oh my God! I can't believe you just did this.
I just did this.
Whoa! Because, all right, I'm doing it today.
Yeah, because of my strength. Who cares? But I am very short-bodied.
Okay.
But yet, I have very strange proportions.
Okay.
So when she would like alter my jackets, like my good suit, we'd pin it and it would come back and it was still, you know, it like everything has to be lifted from the back to get the waist where it's supposed to be. So finally she's like, I'm just going to make a mold of you. And I had this thing where I thought, oh, you go and like in the plaster and this. She's like, oh no, I do it at home. There's like all the way around me.
Oh my God. I love this. I'm doing it today. I'm sending pictures later.
I want to see all the pictures. Wendi, what else can I ask you? I'd ask you what next, but you're working and you're making clothes from vintage patterns and going to go home and tape yourself. I just want to plug again, St. Denis Medical, Thursday nights on NBC and streaming on Peacock. Thank you for coming back again.
Thank you for having me, sweet friend.
You are the best. And like the new house in the back, like so much better than talking to you in your closet. So cool.
Thank you. I thought you'd want to see all my relatives on the wall.
All good. Thank you so much.
All right. And best wishes for your situation.
Thank you. I appreciate it.